Hello and welcome back to another video on the channel. Drop a like if you really like the video. Now, I'd like to preface this by saying I haven't been to all that much parks that include great dark rides. But I have done the Universal and Disney parks, and have done a couple others like Tivoli Gardens that contain such dark rides. And before I begin, I bet there will be some takes that you guys don't agree with, so just type down in the comments below what you guys would put. Now, I know a lot of people will disagree with this opinion, but Cat the Hat is honestly a fantastic dark ride. As the effects are outdated and old, I still feel like the storyline and the actual cartoonish nature of the ride is great. And yes, the animatronics are pretty outdated and sometimes a little creepy. But despite this is a must ride for me every time I come to the park, and definitely really enjoy it. Going from back-to-back underrated attractions, the next is the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. As a lot of people were sad to see Mr. Toad's Wild Ride go for the making of this attraction, I definitely think it's a welcome improvement over Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. It was a bunch of fun scenes with a number of pretty impressive audio animatronics. As I know it's an unpopular opinion, this is definitely my favorite Fantasyland dark ride, especially over Peter Pan's First Flight, and it's a small world. There's just a lot of fun to be had in this attraction, especially during my favorite scene on the ride, the Tigger scene, where you're just bouncing around the whole room with a bunch of Tigger animatronics. Wow, this attraction's a weird one, as it definitely uses screen technology, which is not my favorite. I definitely think the way the track and the cars work against the screens is really perfect. I like some of the scenes of action, although once again, used through screen technology, which is not my favorite, I still do enjoy the attraction. Now, it is interesting why I put this on here, because this is technically considered to be a roller coaster, and I'm not going to be able to put Revenge of the Mummy on this. The reason why I put this on the list and not Revenge of the Mummy is because I feel like Revenge of the Mummy is a defined roller coaster, as this is a dark ride with roller coaster elements. For the limited space this attraction had, I definitely think it's great, but I feel like it could have been better executed, as the other Harry Potter attractions are way better, in my opinion. I definitely think this was a needed attraction at Universal Studios Florida, which at the time was kind of struggling, but to take out Jaws for this, I don't really know. I know this ride is supposed to be the e-ticket of Diagon Alley, but in my opinion, I think Diagon Alley itself is the main e-ticket. This ride is interesting because in some ways it reminds me of Gringotts, with how way it has multiple pre-shows and really puts you in the action. But in my opinion, I definitely think it underutilizes the trackless technology. As you can see throughout these clips, it's not as well done as some other trackless attractions. As I do think this attraction is ever so slightly overrated, I can still look past that and see that it is a great attraction. I like the multiple pre-shows, and I actually like the way they incorporate an animatronic into the second one. I definitely think the reveal of all the Stormtroopers is great and works really well on the ride. I also like all the cast members who really play the role on this attraction. As I think this ride has a bunch of fun scenes, like, once again, meeting the Stormtroopers and seeing the big AT-ATs, and also I like the Kylo Ren animatronic. I definitely think it is pretty overrated, but I will still appreciate a good dark ride when I see one. Also, why didn't they reuse the older and better Star Wars movies characters instead of Rey? I know this is a hot take to some, but I genuinely really like Transformers the Ride. I think it packs a lot of action with a lot of mixed physical sets and screen technology. It's definitely like Spider-Man 1.0, but I still really appreciate it. Yes, this ride naturally does live in the shadow of Spider-Man, but it's still a great ride. I feel like if Spider-Man didn't exist, this would be one of the e-tickets at Universal in general. And I would argue in just the Studios park, this is their best attraction. I definitely like this scene that we're watching right now, where he shoots at you, and all of a sudden a fire extinguishes behind you. I definitely think it's a good practical effect, which yes, Spider-Man uses, but I feel like this one actually might end up being better. So to paraphrase here, this is an attraction that's really good, but just gets overshadowed by a better attraction in a different park. This is an attraction that I could talk about forever. In fact, I do really love the Haunted Mansion. It's a classic that has great theming, a great pre-show, and honestly, I could just talk all day about it. The effects used in this attraction, such as Pepper's Ghost, still hold up today as great optical illusions. The elevator disguised pre-show can often catch newcomers to the ride off guard, as now it doesn't do that to me anymore. When I first wrote it, it definitely did. Perhaps the best thing about the Haunted Mansion is that all ages can ride. Despite being somewhat spooky in some of its ride areas, there's still a lot of fun and humor to have. As I said earlier, the effects that are used from back then are still pretty effective now, including the Madame Leota head that is floating in midair. Another one of my favorite scenes is the infamous ballroom scene, which uses Pepper's ghost. And honestly, these ghosts look like ghosts. They literally look perfect. Then you finally get to see the graveyard scene, which is also another fantastic scene, to conclude an awesome dark ride. Just like Haunted Mansion, Pirates of the Caribbean is a classic that I could talk about forever. The scale and set design still wows riders and me to this day. As I have technically ridden the one in Disneyland, which is so-called better, I still don't really remember it. So I'm just going to be ranking it off the Walt Disney World version. What always shocks me about this ride is how it gets such a little wait, but meanwhile, Seven Dwarfs is packing in 75-minute waits. Like, this is so much better, guys, let's be real. It definitely was a hard choice to choose between Haunted Mansion and this. I slightly prefer this ride for its intricate set design. And yes, Pirates of the Caribbean is still just such a classic that fits in a Magic Kingdom perfectly, and I would honestly say it's my favorite Magic Kingdom attraction. As I've already talked about how great a dinosaur is on this channel, I will recommend to watch that video. Now, this will be more so of a Cliff Notes. A, Dinosaur has a great ride system that allows it to feel as they're going over rugged terrain. B, the audio animatronics, which are chock full on this ride, are absolutely amazing, including the 4 massive Carnotaurus ones. People often criticize this ride for its use of darkness, which in my opinion I think actually works. Not theming every scene to focus on some more intense scenes really helps out the ride experience, especially when it makes the dinosaur reveals a lot more dramatic. I've also heard a lot of people say that their kids didn't like this ride. Like, really? I mean, it's not like this ride's rated as red on the Disney maps, and it's not like it has a sign that's telling you this is an intense experience outside. Rule of thumb is this ride is a great attraction that's just not for kids. And enjoy it while you can, because most likely Dinoland USA as a whole will be overhauled soon, which I'm not looking forward to. Going from insanely underrated to about fairly rated, Spider-Man is a cult classic and definitely one of the best rides in Mountains of Adventure. And great for first-timers coming to the park, this is definitely a must-ride. Adventure really put Universal in the conversation for Disney, and for the next dark ride, really put them as competitors. There's so much fun to be had on this ride, especially in the lecture scenes, and the big water dude. I don't really know his name, guys. Sorry. There's just some really solid special effects on this attraction, like once again, the fact of the story is just pretty simple. Spider-Man facing a bunch of villains in New York, saving the day. Now to the moment we're all waiting for, the number 1 spot. And it is... I could talk about this attraction forever, just like some of the other ones. This ride perfectly utilizes screen technology with practical effects. There's so much parts that I thought were screen, and then I realized they weren't, which just blows my mind. How convincing is that? And on top of this, this was a groundbreaking attraction for Islands of Adventure that put it in the conversation with Disney as it Hogsmeade. The ride system for this is basically you're on a big fat claw that's taking you around the different scenes. You're basically avoiding dragons, spiders, and getting up close to animatronics and screens. It's literally the perfect dark ride, and an example of how to do a good dark ride that utilizes screen technology well. The only complaint I have against this attraction is because it utilizes that claw technology, you can get a little nauseating out there. And if you're scared of spiders, you'll 100% be scared of a couple scenes on this attraction. But there are no true words to describe how much I love this attraction and how beloved it is to me. Somehow it's able to compete with Velocicoaster as a big roller coaster nerd over here. And another hot take, I would honestly take this over Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure because I just love how good and well done this attraction is. Now that does conclude my list, and drop a like if you like the video, and sub if you want more content like this. See you next time.